So in this session, we'll be starting with biomes. So we have completed ecosystem ecology, and we have uh, we have to discuss biomes in detail in order to properly understand how these biotic and abiotic factors they interact with each other. So what kind of adaptations the plants and animals have to cope up with the climatic conditions in these larger areas. So biomes, you can say in simple words, is ecosystem in a larger scale. But there is a slight distinction that biomes, in each individual biome you can have smaller ecosystems, right? So biomes are large areas which are spread over the world, right? So you have, for example, tropical forest is a biome. So tropical forests are present in South America, that is in Brazil. You also have tropical forest, tropical rainforest in Africa, in the Congo region, right, Central Africa. Then you have tropical rainforest in parts of India, that is Andaman, right, in some parts of Northeast, and you have tropical rainforest in Indonesian islands, right? So those islands in the Pacific Ocean. So it is a large area with similar climatic conditions. So biomes are large areas with similar climatic conditions and plants and animals which have similar adaptations to those conditions. So to understand the ecology better, to understand how ecosystem works, to understand how these biotic and abiotic factors are interacting. So when we say interacting, what is the meaning of this term interacting? How do they interact? So these are the different adaptations the plants and animals have to survive in those climatic conditions. So these interactions are the adaptations basically. So to have a firm standing or firm grip on ecosystem and ecology, you need to properly study these topics. So we'll take some time and in detail we'll cover the biomes. Then you will have a proper understanding of ecology. All right. So we are left with few topics. That is, we have to cover the biomes, and then we will cover succession. There is a small topic, succession, and nutrient cycling. So approximately it will take 4 classes. So let us begin with what is biomes. So so we have to cover basic ecology. Now we are in the first part. Then we will go through conservation and biodiversity. And there is a small part called as wildlife that will take 3 classes maximum, wildlife. Then we have environment, where we will cover the pollution and all those things, climate change. So approximately I have been given 25 classes, but I will request for extra 3 to 4, so approximately 30 classes. So we'll cover in detail every aspect of ecology and environment. Okay. All right. So the classes may go up to around mid-January. So by January 20th maximum, we'll try to cover, because there are holidays in between also. So it may go to 20th January, or before 25th, we'll try to complete. All right. So we'll start with the definition first. Okay. So what is a biome? So if you see the hierarchy, organizational hierarchy in ecology, you'll start with individual, then you have population, that is number of individuals of a same species, then you have community, individuals from different species living together. So up to community we have only biotic component. Then we have ecosystem, where biotic and abiotic components are interacting with each other. After ecosystem we have biomes, right? So after ecosystem in the organizational hierarchy, we go to biomes. So these are large areas. Within biomes, you can have smaller ecosystems, distinct ecosystems within the biome. Okay. So it is a large, relatively distinct terrestrial region. Okay. But it does not, you can say, when we say terrestrial, but in biomes we also have aquatic biome, right? So we can say it is a relatively distinct terrestrial region with similar climate, soil, plants, and animals. So that is why we are not including the aquatic biome in the definition. But still, because it has biotic and abiotic factors, aquatic biome is also considered as a biome, right? As a one of the biome. So here, because we are including soils and plants, soil, plants, so in this definition, we are restricting ourselves to terrestrial parts. But aquatic biome is also there. So biome is a larger, relatively distinct terrestrial region with distinct. So these biomes which are present in different continents, they have similar climatic conditions, they have similar type of soil, they have animals and plants which have similar adaptations. Because of the similarity in the climate, their adaptations will also be slightly similar. The animals and plants may not be the same, but their adaptations will be slightly similar. Okay, so wherever these biomes are, they have similarity. So now going to another definition of biome. So it is defined by broad scale collection of flora and fauna that, although different in detail from ecosystem to ecosystem. Yeah, sorry man, there is some problem with the network. So we were discussing the definition of biome. So it is broad scale collection of flora and fauna. These flora and fauna which are found in different parts of the world, they may not be exactly same. Like for example, the flora and fauna which is found in tropical rainforest of South America, that is in an Amazon basin, the flora and fauna will be slightly different from the flora and fauna that is found in the tropical rainforest of Africa or the tropical rainforest of your Indonesia. All right, but they will have some similarity because they have similar climatic conditions. So they will have some similarity. Flora and fauna will have some adaptations which are same. Are you getting it? So a biome is defined as a broad scale collection of flora and fauna, although they are different in detail from ecosystem to ecosystem, but they will share some commonalities. Okay, so biomes, they are classified according to the predominant vegetation and adaptations that those organisms have to the climatic conditions. So we'll discuss different types of biomes. Okay, each biome has its own distinct climatic conditions and organisms which are adapted to those conditions. So when we say the biotic and abiotic factors, they interact with each other in an ecosystem. So this interaction that we are talking about is the basic adaptations the animals and plants have to those climatic conditions, right? Now, every biome has different climatic conditions. So whenever we say climate, mainly it is characterized by two factors. When we say climate, mainly two factors are predominant in climatic conditions. When we say climate, two main factors are there: temperature and precipitation. Other factors are also there: wind and all the relative humidity, all those things, sunlight. But main factors are temperature and precipitation, right? So as temperatures and precipitation change, the biomes also change, right? So if you see, if we have very low temperature, so say -10, very low temperature from -10 degrees or even lower than that, and the precipitation is also low, less than 100 centimeter, so you have a distinct biome that is called as tundra. So these are extremely harsh biome where the temperatures are very low and the growing season for plants is very short, approximately 2 to 3 months maximum. So 50 to 60 days you will have some you can say ambient temperature for the plants to grow. And when we say ambient conditions, not very ambient when you compare to other biomes. So these are very low temperatures, but still in the spring the temperatures become not the temperatures are not that harsh. You can see some plant growth. So because there is a little bit of sunlight and a little bit of warmth, so plants can grow within this very short season of 2 to 3 months maximum. So that is the comfortable period in the spring, 2 to 3 months. So rest of the year it is very harsh. So low precipitation and low temperature, you have tundra biome. So as you go further, as you increase the temperature a little bit and slightly precipitation increases, then you have boreal forest. Okay, then as you increase the temperature but rainfall is less, so rainfall is still less but temperatures are up to 20 degrees, then you have temperate grasslands, right? So in this way, as you increase the temperature and precipitation, so you have tropical rainforest where both temperature and precipitation both are very high. Okay, so as you increase the temperature, temperature is very high but precipitation is very low, you will have again a distinct type of biome, that is deserts, right? So as you change the temperature and precipitation, you have different types of biomes. Climate, when we say climate, these are the two main factors, temperature and precipitation. So location of each biome is primarily determined by the temperature and precipitation. Okay, so there are other factors, but these are the two main factors, right? So this is another diagram, or you can say a pictorial presentation of your biomes. So here we have very wet condition. On one corner you have very wet condition and temperatures are also very high. So from very wet condition, as you move to the dry conditions, so decreasing moisture, and from very hot condition, as you move to decreasing temperature to lower temperatures, you will have distinct type of biomes. So as you reduce the moisture but reduce the precipitation, but temperatures are same, so temperatures are same but you are reducing the moisture. So from tropical rainforest you will go to grasslands, that is savanna, and ultimately to desert depending upon the precipitation. So here you have very high precipitation, here you have low precipitation, here you have very less precipitation, right? Now as you move from very hot or very high temperature to low temperatures, so as you move from high temperatures to low temperatures, so you are moving from rainforest, then you will go to temperate forest, from there you go to taiga or boreal forest, and ultimately to tundra as the temperature reduces. So this is another pictorial or graphical representation of different biomes as they change with change in the temperature and precipitation, right? Now, so as you go to higher altitudes, elevation has a similar effect on ecosystem as traveling to higher latitudes. So when you are moving from equator to poles, temperature decreases. The similar type of effect you can see when you are moving to higher elevations at the same latitude, but elevation or altitude is increasing. So as you move from almost near sea level to higher elevations to top of the mountain peaks, you will see similar type of change, right? So as you move, because there is an inverse relationship between temperature and altitude, so as you move to higher altitudes, you will have similar effect as you are moving from equator towards the poles. So the Vegetation will change with altitude because temperatures are changing. So at the base of the mountain peaks, you will have normal uh, deciduous forest. As you are moving to higher altitudes, you have coniferous. Then as you move even to higher altitudes, the soil there will not be able to support, soil will be very shallow, it will not be able to support larger trees. Then you will have shrubs. As you move to the highest peaks, there you will have snowfall. If the mountain is high enough or it is taller, then you have snowfall there. So it has similar effect as you are moving from equator towards the poles, right? So now we are actually moving into the main topic, that is uh, different types of biomes, right? So let us see. So we'll be discussing these many types of biomes. We'll try to cover them very quickly. I will move when we're discussing a particular biome. I will move very fast. I'll be highlighting the key points. You remember them. The notes will be uploaded. I will send them today. So I will highlight the key parts. You remember that part. Okay, we'll move quickly, but we will try to cover as many characteristics as possible. So I will highlight the key point. You just remember that point and you highlight that in your notes. I will show you the pictures of animals or the adaptations in plants in that particular biome. So we'll be discussing tundra and boreal forest, these two today as far as possible. So I will try to cover them quickly. Then we'll go to temperate deciduous forest, and then we'll cover grasslands. Okay, so savanna, this is tropical and this is temperate grassland. Savanna is tropical grassland. Then we will discuss chaparral biome or Mediterranean biome, then desert biome and tropical rainforest. At last, we'll go cover aquatic biome. Okay, so these are the different biomes that we have to cover. We'll try to cover them as quickly as possible. So I will go very fast because we have to cover a large area. So I will highlight the key points. You remember them. Okay, you remember the key points. We will discuss the adaptations in detail, but climatic conditions, all those things, we will move quickly. Okay. So first biome that we are going to discuss is tundra biome. So this is very harsh climatic condition. So tundra is a cold, treeless biome because the climatic conditions are so harsh that plant growth is not possible. You will not see large trees. So treeless biome found in the Arctic and on top of the mountains. So Arctic region is basically near the poles. So similar type of climatic conditions, where do you find? At the top of the mountains, where the altitude is so high that the temperatures are very low. The conditions are exactly similar to as the poles. Okay, so tundra is a cold treeless biome found in the Arctic region and at the top of the mountains. So let us see the characteristics first. So we'll quickly go through the characteristics. So because it is near the poles, the sun's rays will fall. The sun's rays are very slanting. The temperatures are very low, and 6 months you have light and 6 months you have darkness in the polar regions, that you know, right? So tundra has a very short growing period, 2 to 3 months maximum, and the plants are adapted to these conditions in a way that they quickly complete their life cycle. So they utilize these 2 to 3 months productively and complete their life cycle within this short period of time. Temperatures are too cold for the plants to grow. That is why you don't have trees in there. The conditions are not suitable for growth of trees. So short growing season. The precipitation is also very low, and whatever precipitation happens, it happens in the form of snow, right? So precipitation is less than 25 centimeters per year. So you can see here tundra biome, the precipitation is very less. Okay, the air is cold and dry, and the mountains, they block the passage of moist air. So precipitation does not happen that much. So Mainly it happens in the form of snow. Then temperatures are very low, precipitation is very low. Soil. So soil is frozen, basically, you can say. So permafrost, so frozen soil. So it is permanently, so permafrost is a layer of permanently frozen soil that underlies the tundra region. So in the tundra region, the soil is almost permanently frozen. So the soil has to be frozen for a period of 2 years at least, then we can say it is permafrost. Agar bas 6 months ke liye freeze hota hai, then it becomes normal, then it will not be called as permafrost. It should be frozen for at least continuously for 2 years. Okay. In spring, what happens is the top layer which receives the sunlight, it gets it gets warmed up, and the top soil, there thawing of ice will take place. The ice will melt in the top layer, providing the moisture. The lower layers of the soil, they will be frozen. Only the top layer will be thawed. So thawing will take place or melting will take place only in the top few centimeters, but the lower layers are frozen. Okay, so active layer, when we are saying, though, this is the layer where thawing takes place, where melting of ice takes place during the summer, or you can say spring season. Lower layers are frozen. Okay, so wind, it is a very windy place, so the wind velocity is very high, so that is also one of the contributing harsh contributing conditions that prevent the growth of plants. So winds are very strong. Okay, they can whip up snow and dust. Whip means very violent wind, so very violent wind. So wind speed may average 8 to 16 kilometers per hour, okay, above the ground level, and they can reach 120 to 200 kilometers per hour in high reaches of Rocky Mountains and Alps. So in the mountainous regions, so similar conditions, say tundra conditions, are found in the polar regions and also at the top of the mountains. So with higher altitude, wind velocity can go up to 150 to 200 kilometers per hour. Biodiversity is very low. So conditions are very harsh, low temperature, and most of the times, the temperatures are very low, precipitation is very low. The growing season is very short, so you have very less plants. So plants are primary producers. If you don't have the primary producers, obviously the food chain, it cannot continue, right? So primary producers should be in large number to support large number of primary consumers and secondary consumers. So if you don't have primary producers in large number, automatically the food chain will also, it will be very shorter, and you will not have very large number of primary consumers and secondary consumers. So the diversity is very less because there are not enough plants. Why there are not enough plants? The climatic conditions are too harsh to support vegetation. So very low biodiversity. There are very few plant and animal species. So if you see, overall there are 1700 species of vascular plants, okay, and only 48 species of land mammals that can be found in these regions. Although migration takes place, but overall diversity, if you see, it is very less. Throughout the globe, when we are saying the tundra conditions, so you also have tundra conditions on the top of the mountains, also in the polar regions. So overall biodiversity is very less because of the harsh conditions. Right. So again, in tundra there are types. So there are two main types of tundra biomes. So first one is Arctic tundra, that is near the poles. It is found in the Arctic region of North America, Europe, and Asia. This is the largest type of tundra biome. All right, polar regions, they're very cold. And second type is alpine tundra. So the tundra biome that is found on the top of the mountain, alpine tundra. So you have very tall mountain ranges on every continent, right? So alpine tundra is found in the top of mountains. So you have arctic tundra and alpine tundra. So it is smaller than arctic tundra because only found on the top of the mountains. So area wise it is very small compared to arctic tundra. But arctic tundra is only present in the polar regions, whereas your alpine tundra, it is found in different latitudes. Okay, so typically located at an altitude of more than 10,000 feet. So top of the mountains. So you have snowy mountains on every continent, right? Except Australia, you have snowy mountains at every continent, right? So this is alpine tundra. Compared to the arctic tundra, the area is smaller, but distribution is wide. So you have in North America, you have in South America, you have little bit in Africa also, Europe, Asia. Alpine tundra, the distribution is very wide, but the area is smaller, right? Where it is located? Tundra biome. So tundra and alpine, Arctic tundra and alpine tundra, two types are there. Now tundra biome, when we are talking about the Arctic tundra, this is the larger tundra. So this type of biome exists at latitudes of more than 66 degrees in the northern and southern hemisphere. So basically polar regions, okay, near to the poles. So you have Arctic regions of North America, Europe and Asia. So this is the largest tundra. So top of the mountains also, you have alpine tundra. You can find alpine tundra in many parts of the world. So including Rocky Mountains in Northern America, Alps in Europe, Himalayas in Asia. It can also be found in the peninsular region of Antarctica. So smaller region which is in the Southern Ocean, peninsular part in the Antarctic. So these are the location of your tundra biome. Now coming to the climatic conditions. So we have already discussed these characteristics. In the characteristics, climatic conditions are very harsh, temperatures are very low, right? The the growth period, that is comfortable period for the growth of plants, it is very short, 2 to 3 months only. Biodiversity is very less, soil is frozen, permafrost. So we have discussed already in the characteristics. So again we are going through the similar points. So tundra biome climate, right? So it is cold and dry, precipitation is very low, temperatures are also very low, right? We are following, you are following, right? I'm not going very fast. We need to just highlight the important points. Mainly you focus on the adaptations and the key points in the climatic conditions. You have to just focus on that. Wherever explanation is necessary, I will give that, but mostly it is self-explanatory. We'll go through it quickly. Climate is very cold and dry. We have discussed this already in the characteristics. Average temperatures in the Arctic tundra is -20. In the alpine tundra, that is on the top of the mountains, Arctic tundra near the poles, it is -20. Alpine tundra, that is the top of the mountains, it is -10. Average temperatures. So in the winter, temperatures depend upon the season. Overall average throughout the year we are discussing. So when we say average temperature throughout the year, but temperatures change with the season also. So in the winters, the temperatures can drop to -50 degrees Celsius. In the summer, it can rise to 10 degrees. So on an average, the temperatures will be in minus, but summers, it can be a bit warm, slightly warmer. The winters are very harsh. Temperatures can go up to -50. Plants have a very short growing season, approximately 50 to 60 days. Okay, So in summer you have 24 hours of light, 6 months you have total light period, and 6 months you will have total darkness in the Arctic region. So 24 hours of daylight during the summer season and 24 hours of dark period during the winter season. So these are the climatic conditions of tundra biome. Coming to the soil, soil is frozen. Edaphic, when we say edaphic, so edaphic means, so study of soil is called pedology, right? But when we study soil with respect to plants and plant growth, so soil we are studying with respect to plant growth, then it is called as edaphology. Only when it is studying the soil characteristics, then it is called pedology. But we are studying the soil with respect to plant growth, then it is called as edaphology. So edaphic conditions means the conditions of the soil that can support the plant growth. So it is tundra conditions. Okay, tundra consists of plains characterized by snow, ice, and frozen soil for the most part of the year. In spring also, only the top layer of the soil will have moisture. Lower layers are almost always frozen. So permafrost is the condition where we have the soil which is under frozen condition. We say it permafrost. So lower layers are always frozen. Only the top layer, which becomes little bit warm during the spring season, you will have slight amount, little bit of moisture that can support the plants. So it is geologically very young soil formed during the recent ice age. The nutrient condition is not that good. The soil is poor in fertility. Okay, it cannot supply much nutrients. Soil remains permanently in frozen state, referred to as permafrost. Okay, in the soil, if you have enough organic matter, that will help in recycling the nutrients. So organic matter will decompose, inorganic nutrients will be supplied to the soil, those nutrients will be taken up again by the plants. Plants will again shed their leaves, and again this organic matter will go into the soil, and in this way nutrient cycling, nutrient recycling will take place. But there is not enough plant matter, there is not enough organic matter in the soil, and even though if it is there is slight amount of organic matter, the temperatures are so low that organic matter decomposition will not take place. So that is why nutrient poor soil. So nutrients are not that, they are not present in larger quantities. So it is nutrient poor soil. All right. And permafrost, that is the frozen condition, it makes it impossible for the roots to penetrate far into the soil, and it also slows down the decaying of organic matter. Temperatures are so low that organic matter decomposition is very slow. Organic matter decomposition takes place through enzymatic action of microbes. So temperatures, at that temperature, the microbial activity will be almost negligible. The organic matter decomposition will be very slow. Roots of the plants, they won't be able to penetrate deep because the soil is frozen. In the summer, the temperatures, they increase a little bit. It can go up to 10 degrees Celsius, and that is enough only to melt the top layer of the soil. So little bit of moisture is available which can support some plants. So there is moisture, at least in the spring season, enough moisture is there for the support of plants. The main limiting factor here is the temperatures, not the moisture, because moisture is available. Okay, though not in very large quantities, but still, main limiting factor here is temperature, not the moisture. Okay. Now, if you go for plant life, the flora of Arctic tundra, so there are no deep rooted system in the vegetation of Arctic tundra. So plants, they have very shallow root system because permafrost will not allow the roots to go deeper. Despite this, there are still a wide variety of plants that can resist the cold climate. They can survive in these conditions. So I told you there are about 1700 species of plants. So these includes mainly the low shrubs, sedges. So this is a kind of grass. Then you have reindeer moss, okay, liverworts and grasses. 400 varieties of flowering plants. Then you have lichens, both crustose and foliose. So foliose is leaf-like. Crustose is they form a crust on the surface. Okay. So lichens, again, you have different types: foliose, crustose. So these are the two different types. There is also lichen which looks like flower. Okay, they have different colors. So all plants are adapted to very harsh conditions, that is sweeping. That is why we don't have tall plants, because the wind speed is so high that it will topple them over. So all these plants are adapted to sweeping winds and disturbances in the soil. So they are adapted to these nutrient poor soils and very high velocity winds. Now plants are short and they group together. They grow very close together. They are very short in height to adapt to high velocity winds, because if they grow taller at slightly higher heights, the velocity of the wind is very high. Near to the ground, the velocity is bit low, but if you go a little bit higher, the velocity of the wind is very high. So they grow short. They're not very tall, shorter plants, and they grow very close together. So this keeps them warm. Okay. If they have much distance, the wind can go between them. Temperatures will be low. So they grow very close together to keep themselves warm. So plants are short, they group together to resist the cold temperature and are protected by snow during the winter. All right. Now, they can carry out photosynthesis. So these plants are adapted to carry on photosynthesis even in these harsh conditions, even in low light intensity. Right. So they have adapted to these conditions. The growing conditions are very short. Okay, only 50 to 60 days the temperatures are ambient, especially in the summer season. Okay, so mainly they propagate or they multiply through vegetative reproduction rather than sexual reproduction, because for sexual reproduction to happen, flowering has to take place. So conditions sometimes are not very suitable for the flowering. Okay, so mainly they multiply vegetatively through vegetative organs. All right, so these are the different types of plants that you see. So here are few examples and their type. So you see deciduous shrub. You have deciduous shrub, Salix arctica. Then you have evergreen shrub, right? Then you have single plant, monocotyledon grass, single. Then you have Caspitose monocotyledon. Caspitose means there is a tuft of grass growing from the bottom. Okay, here you can see single, and but there is a tuft of grass which is growing from the bottom. Then you have rosette dicotyledon. Rosette means the vegetative growth will be near to the soil. So rosette means rose like, all the leaves on the stem. Normally, suppose this is the node and this part, this is called as internode. Right? So leaves or branches, they are very close to each other. So the internodal length will be very small and they appear to be growing from the same place. So they are very close together. So they look like a rose where the petals they come from the same base. So rosette condition, we call it rosette condition. All right. Rosette dicotyledon. Then we have erect dicotyledon. So mat like, they spread over the soil. So these are the different types of plants that you see there. Again, we have different species. So here we have only in the diagram we have only one example, but many species have same form. So these are different forms that you see. Then you have cushion like dicotyledon. Okay, again I told you they grow very close together to resist cold. Then you have bryophytes, then you have lichens. So these are the different forms of plants that you see in tundra. Just give me a moment. Sorry for the disturbance. uh is the audio and video okay now? Shall we proceed? So these are the few examples. Now you can see here, these are the few examples of plant species that you find in Arctic region, in the Arctic tundra. Okay, so you have not true cotton. Okay, cotton means not Gossypium herbaceum, वो वाला नहीं है, but these are grasses which have cottony, you can say the inflorescence, right? So cotton plants, lichens. So this is crustose lichen, which is growing as a crust on the soil. This is foliose, which is like leaves. Okay, caribou moss. This is actually your moss. They are leaf like, so mainly your reindeers they eat on this kind of moss. Then you have Labrador tea, Arctic willow. So this is the only you can say tree species, Arctic willow. Then we have bearberry. So these are some you can say examples of flora that is seen in Arctic tundra. So moss is there, lichen is there. So this is moss, bryophyte, which is eaten by reindeers. Okay, caribou, it is a type of deer. Then let us look into floral adaptations. So when we say interaction of biotic and abiotic factors, how the plants and animals are adapting to these conditions. What are the floral adaptations? How plants have adapted to survive in these conditions? That is the basic interaction. So they are adapted, so their life cycle can be completed within the very short summer season. So we have said that 50 to 60 days there is very short growing season of 50 to 60 days where the temperature is slightly higher. That means not very high, but approximately 10 degrees Celsius. So in the summer the temperature slightly rises, which is enough to melt the top layer of soil. So the frozen soil, it will be melted. In the top few centimeters you have enough moisture to support the plant. So some grow very slowly, some grow very low to the ground to protect from frost damage. They're not very tall. The plants are mostly near to the ground, because as you go higher away from the ground, the velocity of the wind increases. So near the ground you have friction. Okay, ground is uneven, so you have friction. So near the ground the velocity of the wind is less, but as you move higher to few centimeters, so if you go to 1 meter or 1.5 meter, the velocity of wind is very high. So most of the plants, they are adapted to grow near to the soil so that they are not affected by frost and high velocity of wind. So some grow horizontally and send up many branches to keep away from drying winds and still absorb much sunlight as possible. So they stay near the ground to protect themselves from harsh wind, but they send some branches vertically so that they can absorb enough sunlight. So if they stay near to the ground, they will not be able to absorb enough sunlight. So they send some branches vertically to absorb enough sunlight, but still be protected from the harsh wind. So they grow together, they group together to keep themselves warm. So these are some of the adaptations of the plants. Many of them develop thick, leathery, or waxy leaves to prevent moisture loss. See, there is very little precipitation, and whatever precipitation is there, it is mainly in the form of snow. So during the summer, they have little bit of moisture, which is enough for the growth of plants. Okay, but whatever moisture is there, they have to conserve it. Whatever little moisture they have in the summer season, they have to conserve it. So they have leathery or waxy leaf to minimize the transpiration losses. So there are few tree species that grows in tundra. The Arctic willow. So it has a creeping habit. It will not grow vertically. It will creep on the soil. So Arctic willow towers over other tundra plants. So it can grow up to 1 feet tall. So 1 feet is 30 centimeters. So it can grow maximum up to height of 1 feet. It is growing horizontally. So it is 1 foot tall maximum. Its shallow roots won't allow it to grow taller, because why roots are shallow? Because the roots cannot go deeper because the soil is frozen. So as the roots cannot go deeper, they cannot absorb nutrients from deeper layers, right? So shallow root system will not allow the plant to grow taller, because shallow roots, they cannot provide you proper anchorage. Deep roots will provide you anchorage, so they can resist the wind velocity. Shallow root system, if the plant has a very shallow root system, it can be easily toppled. So deeper root system is needed for taller plants. So here the root system is very shallow, which will not allow the plant to grow tall. So many tundra plants have tiny leaves to limit the transpiration, and they have to conserve the moisture. Plants must grow, flower, and reproduce very rapidly because of the shorter growing season. Again, the growing period is very short. They have to complete entire process, growth, reproduction, everything within this short period. So Arctic willow is one of the main tree species that grows here. Then another adaptation is thermogenesis. Thermogenesis is plants, they generate heat. Okay, plants, they produce metabolic heat through mitochondria. Now this is believed to encourage, to for pollination purpose. Mainly the plants, to undergo pollination, they generate internal heat. Plants produce metabolic heat that enables them to grow through the snow and to extend the growing season, so that pollination will be completed. So for pollination purpose mainly, they generate internal heat, okay, through mitochondria, through respiration. So thermogenesis is another adaptation to survive in these conditions. Now if you see fauna, what kind of animals do we have in the Arctic region? So we have lemmings, voles. So this is lemming. So these are rodents basically. Lemmings, voles. Then you have caribou. So caribou is a type of deer. Okay. Arctic hare and squirrels. Arctic squirrel. So the pictures in the slide, they are in that order. So lemmings is the first photo, voles is the second one, caribou is the third one, Arctic hare, squirrels. In the same order, the pictures will be present, so you don't have to, I mean, in majority of them I have labeled, but at some places there is no labeling, so you follow the order. All right. Then in carnivores, so those are the herbivores. In carnivores you have arctic foxes, wolves and polar bears. Now, one of the adaptations that you see here in most cases, you see their fur color. The fur color is white. So it is, again, it depends upon season, right? So the melanin pigmentation depends on the season. So amount of sunlight that is received, that will decide the pigmentation, and it is a kind of camouflage also. So animals are adapted. I mean, so these are the predators, right? They have to hunt without being getting detected by the prey. So these are the adaptations. Camouflage is one of the adaptation. Then migratory birds, you have ravens. Okay, ravens. Then you have snow bunting. Then you have falcons, loons, sandpipers, gulls. So these are migratory birds that you see in the Arctic tundra. Then insects में you have mosquitoes, flies, moths, grasshoppers, Arctic bumblebees. In fish you have codfish, you have flatfish, you have salmon, you have trout. These are the most commonly found fishes in the Arctic region. Now, Arctic animal adaptations. So plant adaptations we have seen. What are the animal adaptations? So one of the adaptation that we have seen, migratory birds, right? So birds, they migrate to other regions to survive the harsh conditions, because in the Arctic regions the winters are very harsh, so they move to warmer regions. So migration is one of the adaptation that we have already seen, right? So animals are adapted to handle long cold winters and to breed and raise the young ones quickly in the summers, because food is available during the summer season. In winters there is no source of food, plants are covered with snow and everything, so there is no food in the winter. So generally the animals hibernate or they migrate. So polar bears, they hibernate during the winter, right? Because there is no food source. So animals such as mammals and birds, they have additional insulation from the fat. So they have thick fur coating, or they have blubber, or you say fat layer, thick fat layer under their skin. So they can store the fat during the summer when there is food available, and these reserve fats can be utilized during the hibernation process. So the main animal population in the Arctic tundra consists of reindeer, polar bears, foxes, hare, snowy owls, lemmings, and musk ox. So this is your musk ox. Now, if you see the adaptations, many animals hibernate during the winter because there is no food available. So without food, if they roam around, they are spending energy, and there is no resources to get that energy back. So there is no food source. The rivers are frozen. There is no fish. They hibernate. Another alternative method is to migrate towards the poles. Oh, sorry, to migrate towards the equator, to southern regions, right? From the northern Arctic region to the southern regions where the climate is a bit warm. So reptiles and amphibians are very few or absent because they are poikilothermic. They need external heat. They don't have their own body heat, right? So they have to depend upon sunlight or the warmth from the sun to heat their body. So reptiles are almost absent. Because of constant immigration and emigration, the population continuously oscillate. Migration is happening continuously, right? So at any point of time the population will be different. So during the winter the population will be very low, during the summers the population will be slightly higher, right? So that was your Arctic tundra. Simple enough. So mainly you focus on the climatic conditions. What is the temperature, what is the precipitation, soil, what are the different plants, generally the forms of plants that you see, adaptations that those plants have to those climatic conditions. What are the different animals, fauna that you see? What are their adaptations to survive in those conditions? That part you have to remember. I hope it is simple enough. So let us move quickly to alpine tundra. All right. So alpine tundra is the area of the Earth's surface which does not support any vegetation due to higher altitude, more than 10,000 feet. So at that higher altitude, the wind velocity is very high. The soil is almost absent. So it will not be able to support plants or animals, right? And whatever soil is there, it is frozen. So soil will be very shallow. It will not be able to support much plant life. Only few grasses can live there, right? So alpine tundra occurs in frigid mountain top regions at very high elevation. So you can find these alpine tundra in different parts of the world. So you have such conditions on almost every continent. So in North America, you have Alaska, Canada, USA. These are the regions with rocky mountains, right? So Europe mein you have Alps, Finland, Norway, Russia, Sweden in the mountainous regions. In the Asia, you have Himalayas and Mount Fujiyama in Japan. In Africa, you have Mount Kilimanjaro. In South America, you have Andes. Only except Australia, you have alpine tundra in almost every continent. Okay. So alpine tundra is a cold climate region with temperatures averaging below the freezing points at nights. Precipitation is also not very high. So annual precipitation is around 45 centimeters. Most of it is in the form of snow because at that elevation the temperatures are very low. So whatever precipitation generally happens, it happens in the form of snow. The wind velocity is very high. This is uh, unique to alpine tundra. So wind velocity is very high. Night temperatures are very low and soil is well drained. So the soil is very thin. Okay, so because the slope on the mountain slopes, you do not have proper base for the formation of the soil. Whatever there is, if there is any weathering, so whatever weathering or weathered material that you see, it will be dragged down by gravity. So for the formation of soil, you require a base, right? So here the soil is very shallow. Generally, whatever soil is there, it is very shallow and frozen. Now, in alpine tundra, what kind of vegetation do you see in the mountain tops? So plants are very similar to those of Arctic ones. Arctic region, whatever plants are there, it is very similar to those plants. So it includes grasses, tussock grass, dwarf trees. So the trees are very dwarf. This dwarfness is basically because of shallow roots. Why there are shallow roots? Because the soil is not very thick. On the mountains, the soil is not very thick. The soil is very shallow that cannot support deep roots. So roots are only up to few centimeters deep, right? So shallow root system cannot support very tall plants. So dwarf plants are there because of shallow root system. Shallow root system is there because soil is not very deep. Small leaf shrubs, okay, lichens and low shrubs are present. So grasses and very small growing plants, right? So mammals, you have picas, marmots. So these are also rodents. Okay, these are also rodents. Picas, marmots, mountain goats, sheep, elk. This is also kind of a deer. So these are the fauna that you found on the alpine tundra. So those are your herbivores. Birds, you have grouse-like birds. So this is a grouse. So similar birds you see. So insects, you have springtails, beetles, grasshoppers, butterflies. In carnivores, you have snow leopard, mountain lions, bobcat. So this is the bobcat, mountain lion. and snow leopard. So these are the carnivores that you generally find in the alpine. So these are the apex predators. Then in Antarctic region also, especially in the peninsular region, you have Antarctic tundra. So in the Antarctica, it is centered around the South Pole. Antarctica, the continent, is around the South Pole. It includes parts of the Southern Ocean, the surrounding seas, ice shelves, continental glaciers, plateaus, and mountain ranges. So all of them, they form part of Antarctica. So 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice sheet. Okay, so the average thickness is 1.6 kilometers. So that is the average thickness of the ice sheets. So this continent has 90% of the world's total ice and 70% of the world's fresh water in the form of ice. Okay, fresh water is stored in the form of ice. Now in the summers, the outer edges of the ice shelves break away to form large icebergs that can last from December until February. So large chunks of ice shelf can break away and float in the form of iceberg. So each winter, the surface of the Antarctic Ocean freezes into a sheet of ice. In summer, this will break. This sheet will break again. You might have seen some videos where penguins, they get isolated from their group and they are on the floating ice sheet. And you will have a snow leopard or another predator which is chasing this particular penguin. Okay, these are called as floes. So Antarctica's climate, it varies from plateau region and peninsular region. So peninsular region is that small piece where it is surrounded on three sides by the ocean. Plateau, or your uh, inner Antarctic region, that is covered with snow. So only in the peninsular India you can have a bit of warm season. So that I have shown you here in the small region. Sorry, I think I have missed it. Only this region. Okay, only in this small region, the peninsular part, you can have slightly warmer season. Okay, so Antarctic climate varies from extremely cold, dry condition on the inland plateau to milder moisture conditions along the coast. So in the peninsular part, that small part, peninsular region, in the coastal region, you can have slight warm condition. The inner region, okay, the plateau, inland plateau is very harsh. So it is covered with snow always. So there the conditions are very harsh, but near the coast, the conditions can be a bit milder. So many people call this plateau as polar desert. So this is also a kind of desert because moisture is very less. Moisture is not available for the growth of plants. Whatever precipitation happens, it happens in the form of snow, and this snow never melts. So it cannot support the plant growth. So it is also a kind of desert. So it has only about 5 centimeters of snowfall every year, but it does not melt. It will keep on adding. So annual precipitation in the coastal areas is about 60 centimeters, whereas in the inner plateau it is 5 centimeters. So you have very low temperatures in July that range from -40 to -70. Why July? Because it is in the southern hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere, we have winter in the December, January. In the southern hemisphere, they have winter in the July. Okay. So July, the temperatures are very low, -40 to -70 in the inland plateau, and -15 to -30 in the peninsular coast. So January the temperatures in the inland is, in the plateau region, is -15 to -35, and in the coastal region it can be 0 degrees, so it can reach up to 0. So you will have bit warmer temperatures near the coast. So wind velocity is very high. Okay, so wind that sweeps downward from the plateau can average 70 kilometers per hour, and the wind gusts often reach the coast at 190 kilometers per hour. So wind gust is a very short period of very high velocity wind. So gust is a very short period of high velocity wind. It is not average but very short period. For a very short period, the wind velocity can reach up to 190 kilometers per hour. Okay, at this velocity, the plants, they will not grow very tall because the velocity is very high. So generally, whatever plants or whatever vegetation you see, it is near the ground. So flora of Arctic tundra, only a few plants can grow in the Arctic bullfrog, in the Antarctic, because of the ice covered land. Only in the peninsular region you have little bit of warmth where you can see a bit of vegetation. So mosses are the most common plants that you see here. Okay, so Antarctic hair grass, Antarctic pearlwort. So these are few examples. So only two flowering plants that grow in Antarctica, in the northern peninsula. So these are the two flowering plants. Mostly mosses are there. So these are the two flowering plants that grow in the peninsular part. Okay, only a few insects and other tiny animals are found in Antarctic mainland. Mostly the animals that live, they live in the edges. Okay, so you have the continent's largest land animal is wingless midget. So you can see this is the wingless midget. So these are two different insects. Though insects are mating हो रहा है, the mating is happening. So two different insects. This is wingless midget. This is the largest land animal that you see on the Antarctic. Mostly on the Antarctic mainland, Antarctic plateau. Mostly whatever life you see, it is mainly in the peninsular region. So waters, Antarctic waters, they are full of life. So you see plenty of krill. So this is a small shrimp-like animal. So many fishes that they eat on this krill. So krill is a small shrimp-like creature that feeds on zooplanktons. Okay. Then you have squids. So this is squid, which can be eaten by other animals. So 100 different kinds of fishes are found in the Antarctic. So Antarctic cod is another example. So this is Antarctic cod. Then you have ice fish. Then you have plunder fish. So this is plunder fish. So in that order, okay. So cod, ice fish, plunder fish. Okay. Then you have killer whales, seals, penguins. So these are killer whales. You have seals, you have penguins. So penguins, again, you have different types of penguins. Most common penguins that you see is playful Adelie penguins. So these are playful Adelie penguins. You must have seen in the movie Madagascar, right? So you have three penguins, right? So Adelie penguins. So these are playful Adelie penguins. These are the most common type that you see. Then you have very tall penguins. These are called as emperor penguins. So you might have also observed them in the documentaries. Emperor penguins. The right side ones are emperor penguins. The left side ones are playful Adelie penguins. You have other types also. So these are the most common types. Then you have birds. More than 60 kinds of flying birds spend their summer season in Antarctic. Okay, on the coastal areas. So these birds include albatrosses. So these are migratory birds. Then prions, petrels, these are the common birds. They feed on fishes. Then threats. What are the threats to tundra biome? So melting of ice due to climate change. They can radically change the landscape. Ozone depletion. So especially in the South Pole. So ozone depletion can allow strong ultraviolet rays, which can again cause mutations and harm the biodiversity. Air pollution can also cause smog clouds that contaminate the lichens, so which is a significant food source for many animals like your caribous or reindeers. So oil exploration or exploration of gas and minerals and construction of pipelines and roads can cause physical disturbance and habitat fragmentation. Now it is um, along with Russia, China is also claiming the uh, resources in the Antarctica, right? So there are many countries who are exploring in the Arctic region, not Antarctica, sorry, Arctic region for oil or petroleum. So exploration or construction of infrastructure can cause fragmentation of habitat in these regions, right? Oil spill can also kill wildlife. Then building roads put heat and pressure on the permafrost, causing it to melt. So this can radically change the conditions of these biomes, which can affect the biodiversity. Then measures. So switch to alternate energy source. Mainly here the danger is exploration, right? Exploration for oil and minerals. So you can go for alternate sources. So you can establish protected areas, parks, reserves to restrict the human influence, limit road construction and mining activities, limit the tourism, right? So these are some of the measures so that this Arctic tundra will not be disturbed. So this was Arctic tundra, right? So tundra biome, we have seen the types of tundra biome. So Arctic and alpine tundra, and we have also seen the Antarctic tundra, that is a smaller region. Okay, so shall we move forward? So let us discuss the next type, that is taiga or boreal forest. So this is in the latitude wise just below the tundra. Below means towards the equator, and that means the conditions are a bit warmer compared to your tundra region. So you are now going little bit of south from the poles towards south, that means towards equator. So conditions are a bit warmer compared to your tundra. So this is boreal forest or taiga biome. Got it? So taiga is just below the tundra at lower latitudes. Are you following? So taiga, it is a forest of the cold subarctic region. It is the forest of cold subarctic region, right? So just below the tundra. Okay, so taiga lies between tundra to the north and temperate forest of the south. So it is in between the temperate forest and your tundra region, which is extremely cold, right? So this is taiga region, taiga. So they are in between your temperate forest and tundra region. So they are found in Alaska, Canada, Siberia in Asia. So they are mainly covered by coniferous. So these are coniferous forest. So you have softwood trees. So they are mainly covered by conifers. They are also main source of timber. Okay. So taiga lies between tundra in the north and temperate forest of the south. So you can see the distribution. Where are they? So in the Americas, you have Canada, Alaska, this entire region. In Eurasia, you see in the Scandinavia in the west to the uh, eastern coast of Russia, right? Parts of Manchuria, and you can see uh, the peninsular region. So this is your taiga or boreal forest. Okay, so this is the planet's second largest biome, stretching in unbroken pattern across Europe, Asia, and North America, and covers 20 million hectares. So it is referred to as taiga or the snow forest. It is located in the northern hemispheres at latitudes between 60 degrees and 50 degrees. Just a minute. Right. So between 60 and 50 degrees in the northern hemisphere. So what about southern hemisphere? Why don't we see this taiga biome in the southern hemisphere? Because the 60 to 50 degrees latitude in the southern hemisphere, it is mostly covered by ocean. Okay, you don't have much land mass in the southern hemisphere. So that is the reason why you don't have taiga biome in the southern hemisphere. Mostly it is covered by ocean. Right. So it is made up of coniferous forest and trees such as larches, spruce, birches, aspens, firs, pines. So these are the different types of trees that you see in the taiga forest. Right. So this is taiga biome, mainly conifers they grow here. The tree coverage in most parts of the forest is extensive and close, forming a canopy with moss undergrowth. So tree cover is very dense here, very dense forest with moss growing as a carpet on the soil. So undergrowth is mainly covered by mosses. Okay, moss is bryophyte, so it is a lower plant. So in some areas the trees are wide apart. The trees, they are not very close, but they have distance between them. They are not very close growing. Okay, they have distance between them, and the undergrowth is mainly covered by lichens. So this entire region where you have distant growing trees with lichen growing in the on the soil or the undergrowth, it is called as lichen woodland. So mosses or lichens, they grow as undergrowth. Canopy can be close, so trees can grow very close together, or trees might be wide apart. The forest also has a diverse climatic pattern and different species of organisms. Now, if you see the entire, most of the Canada, it is your taiga biome. So due to availability of the plants found in this forest to survive in snowy and extreme cold temperatures, the location of boreal forest can be seen to be between the temperate deciduous forests that are located on the southern side and tundra on the northern side. So you have taiga forest in between them, tundra in the north and temperate deciduous forest to the south. So they are in between. So if you see in North America, the boreal forest in North America extend across the continent from east side in the Labrador region to the west to the Alaska. So Labrador से लेकर Alaska तक. So almost entirety of Canada. Right. So Canada alone is covered by 24% of the forest, while America contains 11% of the boreal forest of the world. So North America, mostly Canada. So 24% of the forest, boreal forest, it is in Canada, 11% in USA. If you go to Eurasia, so Europe and Asia, boreal forest cover, they are found in Europe and Asia, and it stretches from Scandinavian countries on the western side to the end of the Siberia, right? So from east side at Siberia to the west side to Scandinavia. So Scandinavian countries tak on the east, from Siberia to Scandinavian countries on the west. So this is the largest stretch. Okay. So the widest part of the forest measured from north to south is in Asia. So north to south, the widest part you can see it is around 3,000 kilometers. So if from north to south, the widest stretch that you can see is in Asia. So it is around 3,000 kilometers wide. So Russia alone has 58% of the boreal forest. Next, you have Canada. Then you have USA. So after that, you have Scandinavia, and some parts are also present in China. Okay, in the Manchurian parts. Now, what are the characteristics? They are covered with evergreen or coniferous trees. So you remember this. Taiga biome has evergreen trees or these coniferous trees. They do not shed their leaves annually. Their leaves, they're in the form of spines, right? They're not in the form of broad leaves. In coniferous trees, their leaves, they are modified and they remain longer on the stem. They do not shed every year. So they remain at least for 4 to 5 years. So you can say they are evergreen trees. So coniferous trees, evergreen or coniferous trees are the main vegetation of taiga biome. All right. So these are the trees that do not drop their leaves or needles. So the leaves are modified into thin needles. Okay, why do trees drop their leaves in autumn or in summer? The leaf shedding happens to conserve the moisture, to reduce the transpiration rate. Because in winter also snow is there, but there is no water. So physiological drought is there. Water is available, but it is in the form of snow. It is not in liquid state. So there is no readily available moisture. So whatever moisture is there, the plant has to preserve it. Right. So they shed their leaves. But in case of coniferous trees, where the leaves are modified into your needles, the transpiration rate is also reduced, and they keep their needle-like leaves for long period to continue photosynthesis for a long period of time. So when there is shedding, the photosynthesis is less. The amount of food they produce is less because of shedding of the leaves. If they don't shed their leaves, they can elongate this photosynthesis period. They can photosynthesize for a longer period of time. Transpiration rate is already low because the surface area has reduced. Their leaves have already become needle-like. So transpiration is already low. So they don't have to shed their leaves and they can continue to photosynthesize for a long period of time. Okay. So they keep their leaves so they can soak up as much as sunlight as possible to carry on photosynthesis. The dark green color of the leaves also helps them to soak up more sunlight and carry on photosynthesis. Climatic conditions, cold weather, they're near to the polar regions, right? So taiga biome is just next to tundra. Below tundra, you have taiga, right? It is next to the tundra biome, so the temperatures are very low. Winters it is covered with snow. So taiga has the coldest weather of the forest biome. So of all the forest biomes, taiga has the coldest temperature. Tundra is not a forest biome, so it is a treeless biome, right? Tundra has grasses and woody species are there, but they are not trees. They grow up to only 1 feet tall. So out of all the forest biomes, taiga has coniferous forest. It is the coldest biome out of all the forest biomes. So suddenly, if you see what is the coldest forest biome, don't, in the options you might be tempted for tundra because it is the coldest, but tundra does not have forest. So taiga is the coldest forest biome. So you might get confused. So winter can last for 6 months with temperatures averaging below freezing point. Summers are warm but very short. So summers are short, winters are cold and harsh. These are also dry conditions. Precipitation is very low. Okay, slightly more than the tundra. So average precipitation is between 12 to 30 inches per year. Okay, so precipitation in the summer it falls in the form of rain. In winter it is in the form of snow because of low temperatures. So these are not very new conditions, right? So you know already that because of higher latitudes the temperatures will be harsh. Thin layer of soil, because we don't have much litter and leaves do not fall regularly because these are evergreen trees. Leaves are modified into needles and they do not fall every year, right? So these are evergreen trees, and whatever leaves they fall, they are in the form of needles. So because leaves don't fall from the trees like in the temperate forest, the layer of good soil is very thin. So you have very less organic matter ज़्यादा नहीं होगा यहाँ, ठीक है? Also the cold weather causes very slow decay of organic matter. So if at all there is any shedding, so organic matter it accumulates over a period of time because the temperatures are not enough for decomposition. Microbial activity is very less. Most of the time it is covered with snow. Harsh winters, right? So organic matter it does not decompose very fast. So nutrient recycling is very slow. Okay. So it takes a very long period of time for the nutrients to get back into the soil. So organic matter decomposition takes place, then mineralization and release of nutrients takes place. So these nutrients are again taken up by the plants. So nutrient recycling is very slow here. So soils are not very fertile, they are poor. Organic matter accumulates over a period of time because of slow decomposition. Okay. So nutrient recycling is also very low. So short growing period during the summer. The growing season has, it only lasts for 3 months, 3 to 4 months maximum. Climate, temperatures, summers are short with average temperatures of 20 to 25, whereas winters are long and very cold, averaging 30 to 40 below the freezing point, yani minus 30 to minus 40 degrees. Okay, snow is a poor conductor of heat and shelters the ground from harsh cold above. So snow, when it falls on the ground, it will insulate the soil. So animals, they burrow into the snow. So it will keep them warm because snow does not conduct temperature. So conductivity is low. It is an insulator. So it will keep the animals warm that have burrowed below the snow. Precipitation, again, precipitation is not very high. Average precipitation is 38 to 63 centimeters. The mean temperatures remain consistently below the freezing in the winter. Precipitation, whatever it falls, it is in the form of snow. In summer, it is in the form of rain. So frost has areas that are permanently frozen. Sorry, forest has areas that are permanently frozen, whereas other areas are moist due to spongy moss undergrowth that soaks up excess water. So you have frozen parts and you have forests that are covered with mosses. Okay, so most of the rainwater and melted snow in the summer, it finds its ways into the wetlands where they are trapped and stored. So you have bog in those areas. So soil, the soil is acidic. Soil is slightly acidic. So boreal forest soils are characterized by thin podzols and are poor, poor in fertility. So podzol is this is reference to this layer, okay, ash colored layer, which is called podzol in Russian language. Right. So basically, this ash colored layer is formed, or the podzol is formed because of removal of your aluminum and iron oxides, iron and aluminum oxides that are removed from the top layer, and they are precipitated in the lower layer. So they are removed from the top layer and they are deposited in the lower layer. So this layer becomes ash colored. So this ash colored layer, so ash is called as podzol. So podzolization, so this is a soil forming process where aluminum and iron is removed, oxides are removed from the top layer and they're deposited in the lower layers, giving this ash color to the A horizon or the top horizon, top layer. All right. So this happens because the organic matter, whatever it is present, it decomposes slowly because of the low temperature, and decomposition of this organic matter produces acids, organic acids, humic acid, fulvic acid. So these organic acids, they mix with water. So percolating water, they mix with water, the water becomes acidic. So this acidic water will remove the iron and aluminum oxides from the top layer. So this acidic water removes these oxides from the top layer, making the top layer of soil ash colored, giving the name podzol, podzolization. So this process is called podzolization. Okay, it comes from this ash layer. So iron and aluminum oxides are removed, giving this color. So weathering of rocks proceeds slow in cold environments, and the litter derived from conifer needle is decomposed very slowly and it is not rich in nutrients. So basically the soils are poor. Organic matter content is also, so because even though organic matter accumulates, it does not decompose. So only after decomposition the nutrients will be recycled. So even though organic matter accumulates, it does not decompose. So it is not beneficial for the plants. So top layer of the soil is thin and it is overlain, is overlain over the sandy and loamy subsurface which has no organic matter. Okay, or if the nutrients are also there, they are leached to the lower layers because of percolation. So percolating water will leach these nutrients to the lower layer. So generally the soils are poor, you can say. They're not very rich or they're not very fertile. Low levels of moisture and nutrients, and are loamy or sandy. Sandy soils or loamy soils. That means drainage will be good. That means water can easily move. In clay soils, water does not move fast. Okay. Then at lower pH, a lower pH further compounds the issue. So pH is lower, that means the soils are generally acidic due to excessive leaching. So your base forming cations, calcium, magnesium, they are leached or they are removed from the top layer and they go to the lower layers. So leaching of these base forming cations compounds or it makes the soil more acidic. Okay, so most podzols are poor soils for agriculture. They are mostly used for grazing. They are not very fertile soils. So this is all about the soils of your taiga. They are generally referred to as podzols because of the ash colored. Why ash color? Iron and aluminum oxides, which give the red color, they are removed from the top horizon. They are deposited in the lower horizon by the percolating water. Soil is acidic. Organic matter accumulates. The decomposition of organic matter is very slow. Soils are very poor in nutrients. They cannot uh, support agriculture, generally used for pastures. Then microclimate. So within this taiga biome, there are smaller, you can say, microclimates. So within this large uniform climatic conditions, there are bit variations. So you can see smaller microclimates within this taiga biome. Within this taiga biome, there are distinct regions with slight variation in the microclimatic conditions. So microclimate is a localized set of atmospheric conditions that are different from the surrounding areas. So generalized climate is there for taiga biome, but there are distinct smaller regions with different microclimatic conditions. A small region with a distinct microclimatic condition compared to average climatic conditions of the region. Okay, so small parts of the forest, they are more wet. In other parts, they are more dry. Some parts of the forest, they are more warmer than the other parts. Some parts are more windier than the other parts. So you say within the large biome, there are smaller regions with distinct microclimatic conditions with slight variations in the climatic conditions compared to the average climatic conditions of the larger area. So forest trees drop their needle-like leaves and twigs to the forest floor where they decompose and provide habitat for various insects. So small insects, they can get shelter in the crevices or the cracks of the barks from the fallen trees. So there the conditions are slightly different from the average conditions of the entire biome. Okay, so microclimatic conditions are conditions in a smaller area which are slightly distinct from the overall average conditions of the area. So snow cover acts as excellent insulator, providing adequate warmth to the animals, burrowing animals. A wind is slowed down by the hanging tree branches and dense canopy of the trees, which would otherwise cause the forest climatic temperatures to plummet. So canopy is very dense, which will not allow the very fast or very high velocity wind to enter into the forest, which keeps the forest a bit warm, right? So parts of the taiga biome, they are more wetter, some parts are more drier, some parts are more warmer, some parts are more colder. So you have different microclimatic conditions within the taiga biome. Okay, so all right, so there was a lot of disturbance today due to internet. So let us stop it here. We'll continue from the taiga biome tomorrow, coniferous forests and their characteristics. We'll continue from here. Okay.